Life as You Own It with Mark McDougald and Craig Miller.
Remember, you got questions, we've got answers. 800-492-4664. You may not take the time to educate yourself about the single largest investment and opportunity you have, that investment in the roof over your head in real estate.
We talk about your home, financing, making investments in real estate. We give you the facts, folks.
You know, it's just good old-fashioned horse sense that we like to talk about. And we also throw in some other horse stuff, too, just for fun.
All right, Life as You Own It. I'm Mark McDougald.
Craig Miller, too.
All right, and this is part 5 of our 3-part series. Just kidding. This is part 3 of our 3-part series.
It's part 3 of the 5-part series.
It's something like that, and is the final installment of our spring training edition. Just like baseball, spring has arrived. Part 1, we shared our springtime maintenance tips, checklist, and so much more. Part 2, we showed you how to cut the tax bill and the utility bill. And today, we're going to wrap up with some great content. Before I give you that information, though, we're going to introduce ourselves, who we are. If you're a first-time listener, welcome aboard. And Craig, tell them what they're in store for in a typical Life as You Own It show.
Just a whole lot of silly
Someone's
fun.
cruising along the internet, cruising along their radio dial, and they've just stumbled across these two guys talking. And we say, this is Life as You Own It. What does that mean to them?
Well, we try to cover everything basically under the roof over your head. But the bottom line is, while you're driving around, you're picking the show up for the first time, the things that are probably on your mind on a daily basis, your finances, especially as it pertains to one of the largest investments most people ever make, your home. Talk about that. Not just the financing itself, home improvement, how to get the greatest ROI on those type of investments in general real estate, estate planning, tax stuff, anything that has to do with that big investment, which is usually surrounding the home, but we get the peripheral issues covered as well. And we bring you some great guests, experts in their field, some of our HGTV friends like Mike Holmes and people like that who come on the show. They're going to bring their level of expertise in areas that we don't always know. Mark knows everything about, but I don't. So
I don't know much.
All that kind of good stuff. So we just show you how to maximize your opportunity that is that home investment and make you an empowered, informed consumer. You will come out smarter, better looking, the whole 9 yards after listening to this episode.
That's right. If you're a homeowner, an aspiring homeowner, a renter, someone that wants to become a real estate magnet, M-A-G-N-A-T-E, not one that you put on your refrigerator with the calendar that has your real estate agent on it. If you're any of those, then you're going to benefit by listening to our show or checking out our archived shows or following us on Facebook or, what else, Greg?
Or I don't know. What else can they do?
Don't you? Or they can email us their questions at lifeasyouownit, or they can even call 800-492-4664, and we are standing by to help you out. We're here for you, folks. Okay, it's springtime, which means it's time for the flowers to bloom and real estate to what, Craig?
Bloom also. No,
boom! Seriously, so your offer was accepted, but the appraisal came in low. We're going to revisit this all too common phenomena and also cover the basics of how that value was derived. It's Appraisal 101. Pay close attention because there will be a quiz. Did you know sometimes it helps to keep up with the Joneses, Craig? You keep up with the Joneses?
Not really. I don't keep up with anybody. The Smiths, the Joneses.
Bridget Jones's Diary, you kept up with that? Did you watch it like 17 times?
Not at all. Nope.
Yes,
I don't even know what that is, to be totally honest with listeners.
I'm sure
and
you
do
don't.
you, Mark. And with you.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, so it pays to keep up with the Joneses, especially if you're trying to sell your house. We've got some suggestions to help you move your house quickly whenever you're ready to sell. Now, while most of us are experiencing moderate temperatures, are you experiencing moderate temperatures, Greg?
Somewhat moderate. They're fluctuating all the time.
Yeah, it's
29 one minute, it's 72 the next.
I'm experiencing some hot temperatures over here, but if most of the temperatures nationally outside, it's moderate. But the housing market, it is getting hot. And if you're considering becoming a real estate investor, because we know some of you are, we've got 5 risks to think about before you make that investment. Also, Craig, we've got the Should You Stay or Should You Go segments that we will be giving to you later in the hour, right? What are they? What's the Should You Stay or Should You Go segment, Craig?
That's where you, the listener, participates in the show by sending us your information to your question that you want to know. Now, most of the time it's as simple as, hey, this is what I owe my house. It's worth about this much, I think. I'm going to stay in it about this long, and my current terms are X, Y, or Z. Should I stay with the loan I have, or should I go by refinancing? Or maybe it's, should I make this investment in this particular type of property? Should I continue to rent? Should I buy? Should I do a home improvement project, or should I not spend the money on that? Anything where you want to know, does it make sense to do what I'm thinking I should do, or might be an opportunity to do, or should I stick with where I'm at?
That's right. 800-492-4664. Ask your question. We may read it on air, or email us questions at lifeasyouownit.com. And finally, at Life As You Own It, we believe it's, well, since it's spring, we're going to speak to the fact that we believe that hope springs eternal. So we'll share Charles Murray's 5 rules for a happy life. We encourage you to share those with the younger folk in your life. I use the word folk. That means I'm not younger. And maybe contemplate a few of these for yourself. And finally, rates. Where are they now? Where are they headed? Craig looks into his magical crystal ball and tells you what you need to know about the current interest rate environment and what you need to know about when you're going into that finance transaction, the costs. All right, Craig, we ready?
Let's
jump
do some
in.
rates. Let's
do
jump
some
right
rates.
to it.
Okay.
All right, so folks, rates have been ticking up just a touch over the last week and a half or so. Keep in mind that they can go the other direction, but I don't know that they will anytime soon. What we're seeing right now in the national average on interest rates, I'm going to give you this, which we do every week. This is based upon the average of about a $200,000 loan amount, 20% or more equity, excellent credit. If your scenario differs from those things, it could affect the typical quote you would get. But these are the typical numbers that we see. But we want you to keep in mind that there are fees, there are costs, there are lots of other parts besides just the rate. You've got to be a diligent consumer. We preach to you every week. Do the break-even formula. Go to lifeasyouownit.com. Read my little article on how to figure when you will break even. Because when you pay money to do a loan, you do move backwards based on the amount of those fees. It's going to take a certain amount of time to save enough money in interest by refinancing, for example, at a lower rate, to recover those fees. How long will it take? We'll show you how to do it if you check that out. In the meantime, let's just talk about why rates are up, and then I'll give them to you. Stock market's doing very well. We had a little sell-off a couple weeks ago that didn't last. It's recovered. It's rebounded. Consumer sentiment is not super great, but decent. Overall, between the government backing off on some of their bond purchasing and the stock market hanging in there doing pretty well, and people being somewhat comfortable with investing in stocks as opposed to other safe haven investments like bonds, we're seeing rates slowly trickling up. So keep that in mind. If you're looking at a transaction that makes sense today and you think you want to wait it out, you may just pay more later. If you're on a purchase contract, I suggest you lock in. If you're looking at refinancing to make sense, I suggest you lock in. Lock the rate for enough time to get you through closing. Rates, national average, as of the past week, 30-year fixed, 4.58. That's up from 4.35 the week before. So, as you can see, in a week's time, almost a 0.25% increase in interest rates. That can be significant. Shouldn't be a deal breaker for you if the transaction still makes sense, but significant movement for most people's tastes these days since we're so spoiled with low rates. 15-year rates, 3.46. First, 3.36. Again, 20 basis points. Again, almost a 0.25% increase you would see in a rate quote that you would receive. 5-year ARMs. So that's a 30-year amortization with a rate that's fixed for 5 years and can adjust thereafter. 3.48 versus 3.38. So a little bit of an increase even in the adjustable rate mortgages themselves. FHA right at about 4.20. That's up from about 4.06. So FHA is also higher. Guys, don't play around and gamble and think you're going to beat the system unless you're some type of a guru. It looks to me like higher interest rates are going to be, continually, slowly but surely, they're going to rise a little. So I would not bank on seeing this reverse anytime soon.
All right. Okay, Craig, give our listeners an example. If interest rates move up a quarter on a $100,000 loan, what does that mean for them?
Now, their payment's going to be affected by around $30 a month, roughly. Could be a little bit more, but roughly $30 a month. So is that significant? I mean, it adds up over time, so every penny does count. So,
all right. Hey, good timing, my friend. You are a true polished professional.
Yes, I try to be, except for my strained voice. I'm still trying to recover from having some bronchitis.
Well, you know what? We're going to take a couple-minute break. You're going to come back with a strong, refreshed voice, and we're going to share with you some more information to include the 5 risk factors before you jump in as the real estate investor. Life As You Own It. Stay tuned. All right, Craig.
Yes, friends, we are back. Life As You Own It.
Dance a little closer.
Cheek to cheek, baby.
That's right.
Cheek
All
to
right.
cheek.
Life as you own it.
No,
and,
Mark, not that cheek.
Okay. Well, folks,
Come
we hope
on.
you are enjoying the show, and we appreciate you checking us out. Remember, if you go to YouTube or you go to the Life as You Own It website, you can see the video action. So you'd be able to see that Craig and I
There
were
was no
not
cheek
actually
touching.
dancing. But I will fan your jaws.
Mark
man.
does
You don't
get-
watch what you're saying.
And his finger's incredibly close to my face, though. You'd find that out if you
I
look.
do. I'm a finger pointer. I get a little. Rosa
close
is in, and
talker.
Rosa, welcome to the studio. And Rosa Bocher is helping us out. She always helps us out. Lines up guests, does a lot of our marketing, and she is in the studio today doing the recording. So if you think it's impressive, then tell us so. If you think she needs to do a little work on it to make Craig and I look more handsome,
Please.
you're probably going to tell her that for
Please
sure.
Photoshop it
So
somehow.
I want to make a little correction to the number we've given out for so long. You can still reach us at the 800-492-4664 number, but even though I just said it, remove it from your memory because it's not the most important number that you want to use for us. 877-300-1536 is the number you can reach 24 hours, 7 days a week, thanks to Rosa, a team member of Life as You Own It. You've got questions, you've got suggestions, you've got feedback. Call 877-300-1536, 1536, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, even on holidays, right, Rosa? 395 days a year. Okay, we all know it's really 367, right, Craig?
Something like
Okay, I
that.
better move on down the road. But folks, every day of the year you can call anytime and give us your feedback, give us your suggestions, or ask your questions. We're here for you. Okay, Craig, we're ready.
Let's go into some stuff.
Let's do it. Okay, so it's springtime, which means the flowers are blooming, real estate's booming, and you've got that purchase contract on the house. And gosh darn it, your purchase price was accepted of $200,000, but the appraisal came back in at $190,000. How
That
does
never
that
happens.
work? So, folks, whenever you go to make when you make an offer on a house and you're approved for your mortgage financing, and it's a $200,000 purchase price, the sales price is $200,000. Your down payment of 5% would mean that you are coming to the table with $10,000 and your loan amount is $190,000. Now, mortgage lenders base your loan amount on the lesser of the appraised value or the purchase price. So in the example we've given, where the house appraised for $190,000, but you purchased the home for $200,000, you're going to actually have to come up with a little more money, which is going to actually be $19,500. Or you have the option, that's you making up the difference yourself, because the appraised value is $190,000, and now we need to put $9,500 down on that, plus make up the $10,000 difference. Or you can ask the seller to reduce the purchase price to make up the difference, which is what I would suggest you do, because this appraisal, while we can debate whether it's an exact science, it is the most accurate form of determining the market value of your home at time of purchase. So, Craig, let's talk about it just a little bit. How does an appraiser come up with the value of a house?
They're going to compare your particular home, that's the subject property as it's referred to comparable properties, which are homes that attempt to be as similar to your home as possible. A good appraiser is taking the data available to them through various sources, but usually there's a system that realtors use, and it's called the National Multi-Listing Service, and it has all the home sales. Sometimes they have to go down to the county to get some of this information, but what they're going to do is say, okay, here's the 3 or 4, sometimes 5 or 6 houses that best represent a similar property. They make a few adjustments because maybe you've got a little bit more square footage or a little less, maybe there's a higher level of finish, or maybe there's some additional amenities. They make various adjustments to try to draw to a value that's as balanced out to what represents your property if it was identical as possible. They try to bracket that in a range to say, okay, well, it's homes that, they average out to about this, between this and this, and come up with a value that represents your value. As simply as I can state it. Now, sometimes you don't have a cookie-cutter house in a neighborhood with 10 houses, just like yours have sold in the last 2 months. And a lot of times, they are looking for sales that happened within the last 6 months. They can go out a little bit further. But if you've got a unique property, it may take a little bit of creative work on the appraiser's part to come up with, the most similar properties. But in general, it's compared to other homes.
And if you go to the Life as You Own It website, we give you little grid here that shows some of the sample adjustments that may be made for square footage, for basement finish, for garage, and it gives the example of our $200,000 sales price that comes in at $190. It even shows 3 comps, how they adjust it out. So make sure you understand this, folks, and your mortgage lender, your mortgage professional, and your realtor, when that appraisal comes back in, they should walk you through it so you clearly understand exactly why the house came in at the value it did.
That's right.
All right. Okay, that's the music. Should you stay or should you go? You know the drill. If you don't, you're going to hear it real quickly. Call us with your scenario, email us with your scenario, and we will tell you whether you should get out of that loan or you should stay. Relationship, loan, you name it. All right.
Who do we have?
Craig, we have Anastasia in Olathe, Kansas, called in with the following question. I'm in the process of some major spring upgrades to my home. I'm currently installing hardwood floors in my dining room, kitchen, and entryway. Considering a kitchen upgrade, but it will mostly be do-it-yourself, and I don't want to take on any debt to accomplish my goals. Congratulations, Anastasia. I feel the updates will increase my home's value, but I need to know if you think I will get a good ROI or if I should not invest the money. By the way, I listen every week, and I love Craig's voice. Whatever. So, Craig,
True.
your mom,
It's
Anastasia, sent in the following question.
All right, little
Or Craig's
confession
lack
here.
of
I
voice.
actually do know this person did call in, and when this question answered, it turns out this is somebody that I know. This is a friend of mine. So, she does actually love my voice. It's true. Now, first of all, the answer is go. That means go with those renovations that you're going to do, those upgrades. I do believe you'll get a good ROI, especially we're talking about kitchen stuff. Good area to get a good ROI. The caveat in there, the long answer is, if the other homes in the neighborhood do not represent the upgrade, if it's not common that these upgrades exist in other similar homes in your area, you may over-improve the home for the area. If you're noticing that you've got more deferred maintenance or more deferred upgrades or updating than they do, and you need these updates to be in line with the neighborhood, then absolutely you'll get a better ROI for sure by going ahead and getting that kitchen done. Especially DIY. If you do it yourself, you'll save a lot of money. You'll probably get a really good return on investment.
The key piece is if you do it yourself, make sure you do it right.
Yeah. Anastasia, be careful with those tools. That's all we're going to say.
All right. So let's start to talk about some of the risk factors that you should consider if you're considering becoming a real estate investor. Craig, are you a real estate investor?
I am one.
Yeah.
But not
By choice or by default?
by default.
Yeah.
I'd rather not be one right now.
Never worse than your default strategy become your primary strategy by default.
That's right.
Right. Okay, so here are 5 of the most common risks associated with investing in real estate. Number 1, house price risk. You purchase a house, it can go up or it can go down. What if the house goes down in value? That's why it's important to evaluate your mortgage, your cash flow, and debt planning strategies that won't put you in a bind if house prices stagnate or go down a little bit. On the other hand, what if the house goes up in value and you haven't pulled the trigger yet? That's why it's important to get yourself a solid mortgage approval, have a solid financial plan before you go house shopping, and be prepared to act quickly if you find what you're looking for. So understand that the market is not stagnant. We know that for sure. And 5 years will tell us in real estate that it can go down just as fast as it went up in the preceding 5 years. Understand your carrying costs. If you're fixing and flipping, if you factor in the cost of carrying the mortgage and paying the property taxes, utilities, and other expenses on the home. Number 3, the high costs of sale. It can be 8+%. Do you realize that you'd have to sell the house for at least 8 to 10% more than you paid for it just to break even and cover the real estate commissions and transfer taxes? That's why it's important to make sure that buying this property is part of a longer-term investment strategy. Number 4.
Maybe you better save number 4. This one needs a little elaboration.
All right, folks, we're going to give some elaboration on number 4 and number 5. These are risks you need to consider before you aspire or begin your journey to become the next Donald Trump. Life as you own it. Stay tuned.
All right, friends, we are back. Life as you own it. We've covered a little bit of stuff for you so far today. If you just now tuned into the show, we highly recommend you got to set up your podcasting. That's what you need to do so you never miss an episode of Life as you own it. We've covered a few things. Of course, we've covered rates. We've covered the old home prices seem to be coming up, and people are in a hurry to get one bought because it's hard to find the right home, and then they're willing to pay what you think is fair and what they think is fair, and then the appraiser says, it's not going to appraise for quite that much money. We've covered what to do, and we may revisit some of those things as we wrap up the show, because we did get a call on our 800 number asking further clarification on something. We might have time to address that. We'll see. All right, Mark, let's continue on with our 5 risks to consider before investing in real estate.
There you go. And I'm going to give a reminder, that 800 number, it's 877-300-1536. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Call us. Okay? And let me recap real quickly. 5 risks to consider before investing in real estate. Number 1 is that the house price, it may go up, it may go down. If it goes up before you pull the trigger, then you're going to lose a little bit. If it goes down after you've purchased the house, if you factored all the costs associated with it, can you afford that investment if it drops in value, to hold out until it appreciates again one day? Understand your carrying costs. Also understand the costs associated with liquidating that property or selling that property. You've got to calculate in the real estate commissions, the transfer taxes, etc. Okay, and number 4 is, Greg, pulling out number 4 is obvious one here, folks, that a lot of you may not consider. If you're going to rent the house, what is your vacancy risk and what are the eviction costs? And those eviction costs can be different state by state. But what if the tenant defaults on the rent and you have to hire a lawyer to go through a costly eviction process? Or what if you can't find a tenant? That's why it's important to consider risk reduction techniques like non-refundable deposits, sale leasebacks, and or rent-to-own strategies. And when you're doing your pro forma, when you're putting together your little small business plan to identify whether you make money on this or not, put a very conservative number for the amount you can rent the property for, and also a conservative number for the vacancy. In other words, if you believe that you will have it 70% of the time it will be occupied, take your rent times, if it's $1,000 a month, times 12, that's going to be $12,000 is the total cash flow on that, or revenue generated there. Then put all your expenses in there to include that number times 75 or that number times 80%. One other thing, make sure if you're going to pay someone else to market and rent it, most of them you're going to pay almost up to 1 month's rent. So that can be factored into your vacancy, however you do it, but make sure you don't assume that you're going to have $12,000 each and every year because you own a rental property, because you will not.
These are some of the pitfalls we see all the time. I have a lot of people that come across my desk and say, I've got this great idea, and I'm going to buy this property, and here's how much I think I'm going to make. And they haven't factored a lot of these things in. It's the optimistic viewpoint, which is a good viewpoint to have, but being a complete optimist in situations like this will bite you in the hiney.
Yeah, write the numbers down. This is a business. Work with a mortgage planner. They'll crunch these. They'll work with you on it. What are the expenses? What are the taxes? What's the mortgage carrying cost? What is the vacancy rate? What do we take that $12,000? If you believe that's what you're going to rent it for, we take that times 75%, 80%, 85% max. What's it going to cost to get it rented? When you do the math, you might be looking at a negative cash flow situation when you're all in. Another important component is lack of liquidity. What if you need access to your capital and you can't sell the house? That's why you should never be 100% invested in real estate, folks. We talk about this all the time, whether it's an investment property, whether it's your primary residence or your second home. Make sure you are diversified. It means if you budget for real estate investment, your budget for real estate investments is $200,000. You should keep part of that cash in the bank, sitting on the sidelines. This way you won't get into trouble if the property sits vacant for a few months. Also, a cash cushion allows you to quickly take advantage of other investment opportunities when they arise.
There you go.
Good stuff, Craig. Oh, what timing we've got. This is the Should You Stay or Should You Go segment. And we have Andy in Southside, Alabama. Roll Tide, or maybe it's War Eagle. One of the two, I'm sure. I am buying my first home, and the lender the realtor referred me to seems to be charging a lot of fees. My friends think it's too high. We're supposed to close in 12 days. Am I too late to switch lenders? When I brought it up to the realtor, she told me if I switch lenders, I may lose the house, which would not go over well with my wife. Stay or go. Wow, we've got a conundrum. You may define that for me, Trent.
Sure, Mark. I'm going to say go. Actually, I think you may or may not have enough time depending on who you choose as a lender. A loan can certainly get done in 12 days. You're required by law to have 8 days anyway. You're going to have someone who's efficient, who has your complete file. You're going to have to be cooperative to work with them to get them what they need. But here's the thing. If you go with another lender, and you get a really solid quote, and they say that yes, they can get it done, you need to let them know up front that you need to get it done in 12 days, well then you can go back to the original lender and say, I'm giving you one last shot at making this thing right, these fees are too high, and you can stick with them if they've already gone down the road with your loan-aways. Now, you can also extend your contract. If you get a good realtor and he or she is really representing you well, and you run into a situation where you need to change your financing and they can't get an extension for a week or two on the contract, I don't know. I don't know what the situation is in your particular case, but usually you can get some type of an extension. But
might mean that South Side is a hot real estate
market. So my position is definitely check out another lender, either use it as a negotiation tool, or go ahead and make that move. And it's always sad to see someone come down on their price and say, okay, yeah, since you're going to shop around and you're smarter now, I'll give you this better deal. I hate rewarding people like that with my business in the end anyway, because they still benefited rather than just giving me the best deal up front. But again,
and the one thing we don't know here is those fees.
Maybe they're not high.
Maybe they're not high at all. So
go check it out.
Yeah, and talk with the mortgage planner or the loan officer so they can explain those fees. If they can't explain them, then you got a problem. Life as You Own It. Stay tuned. Back in a few. All right, Life as You Own It. We're back. Mark McDougall, Craig Miller. Want to give a shout out to our friends that are following us on social media platforms. We've got Facebook, Twitter. Also, you can watch the show. We do some goofy things in here. Sometimes I actually look at the camera. Most times I just flail my arms around in the air as I'm talking into the microphone. And check out our website, lifeasyouownit.com. There's great information to include recaps of the show. Also on this weekend's, from this weekend's show, we're going to have the illustration for your appraisal, so you can kind of look, a very basic one, and if you want more information about it, contact a mortgage planner or reach out to us at Life As You Want It. Remember, 24/7, 877-300-1536. We are here for you.
In the spirit of that, the question we had on that 877 number, that toll-free number, was, what if I just say, fine, you're not going to pay enough for my house, I'm just going to take a chance to sell it to somebody else who will pay more, can I do that? Of course you can. Just keep in mind that if you say, okay, well, it didn't appraise for enough money with your appraiser, and you guys can't fight it or get anywhere, and you want to stick to your guns, and it's only worth $190 versus the $200 I want to sell it for, and that you originally agreed to pay, you want to tell those buyers to see you later and wait for another buyer to come along. The only thing I'm going to warn you about, it's common to have the same thing come right back at you again. You get another buyer says, well, yeah, I'll pay $200, and then they get a $190 appraisal, or even less. So sometimes bird in the hand is worth two in the bush. We know that. So if you can swallow it and you can take the lesser price for your home and you don't want to lose the sale, I would recommend you do so. But by all means, you have the right to say, hey, forget it. I'll wait it out. And you may find that buyer that says, hey, I'll pay $200 for it. I'm putting a bunch of money down. I don't care what the appraisal is. I've looked at enough houses to know it's what it's worth. So you can certainly run into that situation. I personally have paid, ironically, exactly $10,000 more for a piece of property than it would appraise for. And that appraiser was doing all he could to get that value there, but it wasn't going to happen. So I paid the extra $10,000 over and above what the appraisal was for the home, and I knew it was going to be a good choice to make that. And I did buy it, and I did sell it, and I did make money on it. So my assumptions about the value were correct. So,
all right, you're a good assumpter.
I'm an assumptor sometimes.
All right, folks. Let's talk about keeping up with the Joneses. Have you ever tried to keep up with the Joneses?
I'm sure at times in my life that was important to me at one point, but not anymore.
You like fast cars, so there's times where if the Joneses, you can define the Joneses as a guy with another fast car.
The light turned
so
green.
You definitely try to keep
up.
You try to beat the Joneses,
baby. Leave them in my dust.
That's right. Well, folks, sometimes as it relates to your home, it can make sense, and it does make sense to keep up with the Joneses, and that can mean keeping up with the trends in your neighborhood, having similar amenities, similar options within your house, and obviously the basic ones that we've discussed over the last couple episodes are the maintenance to your home, whether it's making sure that it's energy efficient, making sure that it's got the things that keep it, whether paint, whether it's the ongoing maintenance that you need to do to keep your house looking fresh, landscaping, all the TLC it needs to keep up with the Joneses. Keep it so it's ideally, at a minimum, on par with what the market has to offer. So we've got 3 suggestions from Money Magazine that seem like simple ones, but they are amenities that will help you possibly not just keep up with the Joneses, depending on your market, but maybe outdo the Joneses. Number one is expand your closets. As you probably know, if you're in an older house, and this mainly applies homes that are going to be maybe 20 years or older, where closets used to be. Did you know that closets used to pay a tax on closets? That's why years ago closets were so small.
Is that why you?
I might just be
finally
making
came
that
out
up. And
of the closet?
if you think I'm making it up, then call us at 800-877-300-1536. Was there a surcharge or a tax in many municipalities based upon the square footage of a closet? Was there not? That's the question.
I don't know.
I'm saying there is. Call me out if I'm wrong. Obviously, add some closet space. How many times do people walk into the house? That's one of the first things that Rosa's nodding yes. Rosa, you need some closet space. You got some nice clothes. So make sure you've got sufficient closet space. You can find ways to expand those. Just be a little creative. It's not real expensive because you don't generally need much electrical in the closet. A light, that's it. You're not going to need HVAC in the closet. You're not going to need those things to rewire or plumb. Those are where you get a little more expensive. Expand the closets. Number two is open up the kitchen. How many times you walk in now? It has been very popular for many years to have the open kitchen/hearth room. You'd be amazed at many houses, as long as there's not a load-bearing wall there, that you can create a much more open space by the removal of a wall, and this will bring you in line with what the current offerings are and what people are looking for in their housing. And another one, and this seems like a simple one, but it can incur a little bit of cost, is get the laundry out of the basement. Get it upstairs, get it in a master bedroom, get it in a closet upstairs, get it somewhere, but get it out of the basement. These are simple. They may cost you a little bit. This one's going to have a little plumbing work involved potentially, but these are very low-cost things you can do to add real meaningful amenities to your home that are Life as You Own It endorsed ROI projects.
That washer and dryer on your front porch or out on your deck.
Like
That's
Craig
what you
does.
do. You run an extension cord. You just run that stuff outside. If you've got a covered front porch or a deck, that's the place to do it. Right by your hound dog.
Right by your hound
Just let
dog.
your hound dog sleep right by it. They like the warmth that comes off the dryer vent.
Speaking of warmth, whenever we come back from the break, we're going to talk about those 5 things that we think will help you live a happy life. 5 rules for a happy life from the author Charles Murray. And Craig, before we get into that installment, is there anything that you want to share with our listeners to warm them up for that session? Maybe some deep thoughts, maybe
Deep thoughts?
yeah.
No, I don't want to share any deep thoughts about
Okay.
it.
I'm thinking the segment's getting ready to end.
I
but,
know, and I don't have any deep thoughts. Okay, fine. If you've got 2 friends, one's name is Flippy and the other's name is Hambone, which one do you think likes dolphins?
Wow. We're going to come back to the answer when we return. Life as You Own It. Stay tuned.
All right, folks, we are back. Life as You Own It. Final segment. You've hung in there with us. We know it's not enough. Just come back next week. And, of course, set that podcast up and listen all night long in those sleepless nights. Put a little Life as You Own It on. Relax yourself. Get some knowledge. Get some good sleep.
Maybe workout. You can relax or you can work out. Either one.
Do you want the answer to
So
my
sometimes
deep
we're a little
thought?
fast-paced. Sometimes we slow it down just a little bit.
Sometimes.
What's your deep thoughts?
If
Let's
you got
read
2
this.
friends-
He's checking us out after the break. Craig, you had a...
He said, you got any deep thoughts? And here's a deep thought
You
for
have
you.
one.
Two
Repeat
friends.
it and then give the answer.
If you have 2 friends, one's name's Flippy, and the other's name's Hambone, which one would you think would like dolphins? You'd say Flippy, right? You're wrong.
I would.
It's Hambone.
Hambone.
All right.
Yeah.
There's your deep thought.
That's your deep thought, folks. Gosh.
It's
the deep
weird.
thought,
I
and
stole
there's
that
his
from somewhere
credibility.
else.
All right, folks. So, music means it's time for another Should You Stay or Should You Go segment. Remember, call us, email us, questions at Life as You Own It, or call us at 877-300-1536. We may give your answer on air. Newton in Chicago emailed, I have a $229,000 mortgage balance at 4.75 on a 15-year loan. My house is worth $300,000 plus. Plus what? I don't know. I will move in 2 to 3 years. Should I refinance or sit tight? Thanks.
Go. Get that refinance done. You should be able to get a zero-cost 15-year replacement loan, or a 10-year for that matter. We don't know how far into the 15 you are. But you should be able to stay on the same track amortization-wise while lowering your rate significantly without paying any closing costs or fees. The lender should be able to absorb those fees and costs out of their, yield spread. We'll just call it that for simple terms for people to understand.
You can save money,
Out of their
Newton.
profit.
Newton, we're going to give you the law of refinance. You're breaking the law if you don't look into it.
Drop your rate, baby.
You got
Okay.
it. Okay. So, Craig, Life as You Own It. We like to cover things that extend beyond just the practical financial matters of your house, but we like to ideally make you feel a little better, a little bit uplifted, give you something to take those steps to improve yourself. And while these may be some of the steps that you use to improve yourself or contemplate self-improvement or move on from some things, let go of them, these will be useful for the younger set, we believe. So, excerpts from a Wall Street Journal article, an essay that was written by, actually a book that was written by Charles Murray. And
Is this in relation to Bill Murray?
It could be. Actually, it very well
Bill Murray.
Very well may be Bill's big brother. But we've got 5, if I can find the right sheet, 5 rules for a happy life. You're going to edit this up.
I got it. Keep going.
So I'll just back up. We've got Charles Murray's 5 rules for a happy life. Number 1, consider marrying young. Craig, what do you think of that?
Don't marry too young. Make sure you get your bearings straight. Make sure you've got all your priorities in order. Make sure things are squared away in your own life before you jump into that.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to contemplate. I think, possibly considering marrying young could be valuable because if you don't get it right the first time, you still got an opportunity to get it right the second time. Yeah, Craig, you paying attention over there?
Paying total attention.
All right, no comment on there.
Keep our mouth shut on all
Number
this.
2 is learn how to recognize your soulmate, and that's some good advice. Let's hear what Mr. Murray has to say about that. Ready for some cliches about marriage? Here they come because they're true. Marry someone with similar tastes and preferences. Which tastes and preferences? The ones that will affect your life almost every day. So me personally, what I do is I tell people is write down the top 10 things that are most important to you. If the 5 that your mate that you're choosing are in the bottom 5, probably not a good fit. But if they've got 5 in your top 5 or 6 or 7, possibly a good fit. They don't have to have all 10, but make sure they got 5 towards the top of your list. Number 3, eventually stop fretting about fame and fortune. Craig, you haven't stopped yet. Neither have I.
Oh, trust me. I'm
Yeah.
far from famous and never will be, and I'm probably not going to have much fortune. So,
Okay,
I give up. I
think
give up.
Probably at
Just
some
accept
point in your
things for what
life,
they are. I'm happy.
youthful, the younger set here, at some point right now, you're thinking, you're in your 20s, you're graduating from college, and you're going, I'm going to be famous, I'm going to whatever it is, I'm going to conquer this world. At some point in your life, you may acknowledge, you know what? I'm a great parent. I love my job. I enjoy my life. And therefore, I am happy and satisfied with my station in life. Number 4, take religion seriously. Number 5, watch Groundhog Day repeatedly. Yeah, seriously, watch Groundhog Day repeatedly. Folks, we appreciate you hanging out with us. It's been another installment of Life as You Own It. And remember to
Stay classy.